SQL is a standard language for describing relational databases and queries. Standard SQL was originally formalized by the American National Standards Institute in 1986. This standard version was commonly referred to as SQL 86 or SQL 87. It was revised in 1989 and again in 1992. SQL 92 was formally adopted by the International Organization for Standards as ISO 9075. The ISO has since updated the standard several times, and the current version is SQL 2011. The history of databases is long and complex. All of the major SQL systems predate the standards process, sometimes even having inherited code from one another. Having such long and storied legacies, they also must continue to support old and cumbersome code bases for their customers, some of whom are running code that predates the standards. Most of the major database systems, including MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL, and Oracle, support the standard to different degrees, and none of them support it completely. What does this mean to you? Just know that whatever SQL you write will usually have some vendor-specific aspects to it, and you will usually need to make some modifications for it to work on a different system. In this course, I'll be teaching core features in SQL that are supported by all the major database systems. That said, it's important to understand that many details, like data types, function implementations, do vary from system to system. You'll need to consult the documentation for your specific system to understand the specific details of its implementation. An SQL statement begins with a keyword and ends with a semicolon. Technically, the semicolon is a statement terminator in SQL. This means that it is always required. Some systems, notably current versions of MySQL and Microsoft SQL Server, may use the semicolon as a separator in some contexts, meaning that it's not required if there's only one statement. Also, most SQL drivers, including the PDO driver for PHP that I'm using in the SID application for this course, do not require the semicolon for standalone SQL statements. In most systems, the semicolon is always allowed, so it never hurts to use it, and I recommend that you get in the habit of using it all the time. SQL statements are not case sensitive. Both of these statements are the same. On some systems, user-defined symbols are case-sensitive, and on others they are not. In this example, the table name is a user-defined symbol, so you may or may not need to spell it with the correct capitalization depending on the system you're using. On some systems, this is a configurable option. I suggest that you always write your SQL consistently to make your code as portable as possible. Comments in SQL are line-oriented. A comment is introduced by a double dash followed by at least one space and ends at the end of the line. That is, 2 hyphen characters with no space between them and at least one space after the second hyphen, followed by the comment text and terminated with a new line. Beginning with SQL 2003, C-style comments are also recognized. This allows multi-line comments with much more ease than by using the line-oriented comments. C-style multi-line comments are supported by the latest versions of most database systems, but they are not supported by many legacy systems. I recommend that you confirm that this feature is supported by your target system or systems before using multi-line comments in your code. A statement may have one or more clauses depending on the syntax of the statement. For example, this select statement has a from clause and a where clause. The from clause specifies the table, and the where clause specifies a condition that must be satisfied for each of the rows selected. Functions are used to perform specific operations on data. In this example, the count function is used to find the number of rows matching the condition in the where clause. Expressions are used in SQL to derive values from data. For example, this statement has 2 expressions. This expression divides the population column by 1 million in order to display the population in millions. And this logical expression is used to select only those rows where the population column is greater than or equal to 1 million. The structure of SQL syntax is very simple, but the rules can be complex depending on the statements and usages. In the rest of this course, we'll look at specific details for many usages.